to this exciting event. We're very pleased to have you all here and joining us to, well, as you know, discuss business opportunities between the state of Andhra Pradesh in India and Peru. Well, some of you will know that the state of Andhra Pradesh is actually quite well known for its well-developed social, physical, and industrial infrastructure. So we'll have a lot to talk about. Just a quick reminder before we jump into the event that please, while we have the speakers presenting, let's try all of us to keep our microphones off, please, just to have a smooth experience during the event. So to start, we're going to have some opening remarks by His Excellency Ambassador Mandarupu Subbarayalu. So welcome, Mr. Ambassador.
Thank you, Gabriel. Distinguished participants, speakers, ladies and gentlemen. Namaskaram, good evening, buenos dias. It gives me immense pleasure in extending a warm welcome to all of you to this virtual session on business opportunities between the Indian state of Andhra Pradesh and Peru, with a special emphasis on pharmaceuticals, steel, textiles, and leather. This session has participation of Visakhapatnam Special Economic Zone of the Ministry of Commerce and Industry, Government of India, AP Economic Development Board of the State Government of Andhra Pradesh, Indian Chamber of Commerce in Peru, INCHAM, and Vizag Steel. Delighted to have this event as we celebrate India at 75, Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, and bicentenary of independence of Peru. Embassy wishes to thank Shri Ram Mohan Reddy, Shri Subramaniam, Shri Rohit Rao, Shri B. Rawat, and Mr. Manuel Origi, Director of Trading Committee at RPN. While they are going to share with us the specifics, let me try and present a broad overview. We share close and friendly ties with Peru. The economies of two countries are complementary, open, market-friendly, and strong with huge potential to grow. Ongoing negotiations to finalize a trade agreement demonstrates our mutual willingness to partner. The pandemic has disrupted supply chains and thrown up fresh challenges. Diversification and new partnerships have become necessary. In this context, we wanted to bring together industry from a key Indian state of Andhra Pradesh and Peru to explore business opportunities and forge beneficial partnerships. Andhra Pradesh has well-developed infrastructure, support systems, and attractive business-friendly policy framework to establish industry and undertake profitable production activities. State's single window clearance mechanism, dedicated investor facilitation, simplified procedures, and congenial industrial ecosystem make doing business easier and attractive. AP has an established industry in steel, pharmaceuticals, biotechnology, textiles, leather, information technology, electronics, chemicals, agriculture, food processing, automotive and auto components, petrochemicals, aerospace and defense sectors. Indeed, all these sectors are relevant when we talk of our engagement with Peru, a country which is rich in resources, and strong in economic fundamentals. Forward-looking initiatives to facilitate investments have further strengthened the position of Andhra Pradesh as an attractive investment destination. I wish to highlight that the strategy of forming industrial clusters and developing relevant infrastructure such as biotech, textile and hardware parks is encouraging investments. Projects to generate green energy, develop greenfield ports, create special economic zones and industrial clusters make it a happening state that is on the move. Innovation and encouragement to startups has been driving the forward-looking industrial expansion, as evident from a recent announcement by an electric vehicle manufacturer to set up electric golf carts manufacturing facility and a battery swapping unit. The special economic zones of the state cover diverse sectors including pharma, IT, textiles and apparel, food processing, footwear and leather, and multi-products. It is worth noting that Sri City Special Economic Zone that houses over 150 companies from 27 countries is a key example of well-planned infrastructure at a strategic location. Peruvian small and medium industries can take advantage of opportunities generated by pro-MSME policies of the state of Andhra Pradesh. India is an established supplier of high quality, affordable medicines, vaccines, medical devices, and technology. As the pharmacy of the world, India has been able to cater to the needs of 150 countries with critical supplies. India's pharma exports to Peru increased by 63% in 2020 to $139 million, thereby taking our market share to 10.7% as the second largest supplier. The pharma industry is spread in different parts of India, and one such important part is the state of Andhra Pradesh, a home to many global and national pharma players, with various pharmaceutical companies having set up their manufacturing hubs in the state. Andhra Pradesh exported pharmaceuticals worth $1.48 billion in 2019-20. There are special economic zones dedicated to pharma and biotechnology segments, plants approved by WHO and US FDA, and pharma cities. India's first MedTech zone was inaugurated in 2018, and a bulk drug pharma park is planned to be established in Andhra Pradesh. Opportunities to source pharma products and medical devices and make prudent investment are open to Peru. Andhra Pradesh welcomes you to forge business partnerships. From being the 5th largest supplier of articles of iron and steel to Peru in 2019, India has climbed to 3rd position last year, taking our share from 5% to 9.8%. There is huge scope for improvement in the segment of iron and steel, including transmission towers and welded tubes. And you would hear from our distinguished expert from Vizag Steel about the potential to import steel from India. and from Andhra Pradesh. India has proven strengths across the entire value chain of textile and garments sector, and more than 100 countries import fabrics, textiles, and clothing from us. India is the third largest supplier to Peru with around 9 to 10% market share. Our textile exports were around $200 million in 2020. Textiles and apparels is a promising area with 2 special economic zones in Andhra Pradesh, which is a leading producer of silk. The partnership between industry of Peru and Andhra Pradesh can be mutually rewarding given complementary nature of their strengths. Coming to leather, India's exports increased by 4% in 2019 in leather and footwear sector. A virtual buyer-seller meet held last year in association with Council of Leather Exports confirmed significant scope for partnerships for Indian suppliers. Suppliers from Andhra may look at opportunities in Peru for footwear and leather products. The presence of rich climatic and soil conditions makes Andhra Pradesh a major agricultural belt and a leading producer of fruits and spices, in addition to a range of other agricultural products. As the largest exporter of marine products amongst Indian states, its thriving fisheries industry contributes 36% of India's seafood exports by value. Andhra Pradesh is a premier tourist destination known for its pristine beaches, sacred places of worship, lush green forests, spicy cuisine, and friendly people. Andhra Pradesh is therefore well positioned to act as a global trade gateway of India and a prominent investment destination. It is a state that is forward-looking and business-friendly. I hope that stakeholders on both sides can benefit from today's deliberations and pursue further trade, investment, and business opportunities that lie ahead. Thank you once again for joining us in this effort to strengthen ties as we commemorate India at 75 and Peru's bicentenary. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ambassador. And well, hearing you, I can't help but say I'm excited to hear our next 4 speakers talk about the topics you were mentioning. We're going to have 4 10-minute presentations each by some very distinguished speakers today. And I just wanted to echo the sentiment that it is certainly a time of opportunities for those who are willing and ready to capture them, especially in the global stage. So this is, I believe, a very important discussion we're about to have. So first up, we're going to have a first presentation by Mr. Ram Mohan Reddy. He is the Development Commissioner at the Visakhapatnam Special Economic Zone. Sorry for the mispronouncing the name, which is one of India's first few special economic zones to be set up in the country. Mr. Reddy has vast experience in the civil service, and he has been instrumental in transforming government policies into successful execution with focus, of course, in public welfare. So welcome, Mr. Reddy. You have the floor.
Yeah. Good evening, Mr. Gabriel, and His Excellency Ambassador of India, Mr. Subbroyd Garu. And before I take there are a number of distinguished audience on virtual platform and gathering here. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. I'll be speaking with special reference to special economic zones. before I go to that, I have to make a small presentation so that to make it more meaningful. I think you can see the presentation here. Yeah? Yeah, please. Yeah, this what you are seeing is a administrative building of Visakhapatnam Special Economic Zone, located on the east coast of India. A beautiful campus here, and spread over 360 acres. And this is we have got two distinguished zones. One is the processing zone, and the other is non-processing zone. Where in the processing zone, all the industries are located. This one typical SEZ I am giving you, just to give you an idea about SEZ. Without, I'll not go much deep into this, but quickly I'll go through this one. This basically I've been asked to present about the strength VSEZ has got in selected sectors like apparel, pharmaceutical, leather, steel, and others. So this, just to tell you, SEZ, most of you might be knowing, but still in one line, it is a geographically delimited area within which the governments facilitate industrial activity through fiscal and regulatory incentives. See, the first EPZ initiative came in the world from Ireland, and then the first EPZ to be set up in Asia was in Kandla in 1965, and Visakhapatnam Special Economic Zone, henceforth I'll call it as VSEZ, is the youngest in the country, almost after 7, that is after Kandla, after 24 years it has come into existence. Right, our objective is basically to generate additional economic activity, export of goods, investment from domestic and foreign agencies, and generate employment opportunities and create world-class infrastructure. I don't go into the minimum area requirements for setting up of an SEZ, as the government of India has recently slashed down all the area norms and has brought down very, very easy access to all the investors from anywhere in the world. So basically what benefits you'll get in an SEZ is you are basically, you can import everything duty free. And secondly, all purchases that you make from the domestic tariff area to the SEZs are exempted from the GST. Then just to give an idea about what is the extent of SEZs in the country, I tell you there are 425 were formally approved and 265 are actively operational in the country. And you can see that total area under SEZs is about 47,496 hectares. And it's generating employment to the tune of 22.85 lakhs is the direct employment, and investment is to the tune of 6.07 lakh crore. And the exports this year, of course, have come down due to pandemic, but still the exports touched a figure of 5.53 lakh crore this year. I'm talking of the national figures of the country. And this is recorded in negative 7.25%, whereas it was 12.24% positive last year. Then if you see the operational SEZs in the country, the star goes to Visakhapatnam Special Economic Zone. We have got 61 operational SEZs operating out of 253 in Andhra Pradesh. This is where His Excellency has pleaded the Peru government can take better opportunities in India. These are the consolidated exports from SEZ, and it's constantly going up. You can see, except this pandemic period, it has been constantly going up. And coming to the VSEZ, which has got about 61 operational SEZs, the jurisdiction of VSEZ spreads over 3 states, Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, and Chhattisgarh, and part of the Union Territory, that is Yanam. Of course, there is not much activity in Chhattisgarh and Yanam, but most happening states are Telangana and Andhra Pradesh. Even if you compare both the states, Telangana and Andhra Pradesh, Telangana is most happening, which contributes to 80% of the exports, and AP contributes only 20% of the exports from special economic zones. This is where we require the attention of all the investors from abroad and having intent to have business relations with AP. There are opportunities galore in AP at this point of time. But to our, and everybody's surprised, the Visakhapatnam Special Economic Zone this year has crossed 1 trillion mark, 1 trillion crore. That's rupees 1,05,000 lakh rupees 1.05 lakh crores exports have been achieved by Visakhapatnam Special Economic Zone this year. And this is the highest in the last 32 years of its existence and has recorded a growth of 14.8%. Shows that the opportunities in Andhra Pradesh are quite easy and accessible. That's why the investors are very comfortable here and have recorded a growth of 26% in merchandise, whereas in the entire world, the merchandise has recorded a negative growth. And you can see that even VSCZ is generating employment of 3.93 lakhs, and the investment is almost 148 crores. And you can see here the number of operational SCZ units in Andhra Pradesh are only 163. In Telangana, it is 363. And of course, Chhattisgarh is only one. So again, I am emphasizing that there are good opportunities for the governments of Peru and Bolivia to invest in Andhra Pradesh, where there are plenty of opportunities here. But this, you can see that the exports are, the positive growth is the highest among all the 7 zones of the country. There are 7 zones in the country. Like Kandla is the first one. Then you can say Noida is near Delhi. Then you can say Kolkata, Falta is there. Seebs, Mumbai is there. Cochin, Chennai is there. We call it MEPS. And all these, VSCZ is one of them. And VSCZ this year has recorded a positive growth. Only one which has recorded positive growth in both the sectors of merchandise and services. And you can see the SCZ-wise exports are given here from VSCZ, and in that, the top one is the IT and the second one is pharma, which I will come into details later. The growth in employment is also very continuous from the state of AP and Andhra Pradesh, Telangana. So investments are constantly moving up. Now, this very important slide where I request my distinguished audience to please kindly look into it. And here, the computer and electronic software contribute 66% of our exports. Pharma and biotech contribute to 19%. Trading and services 4% of the total exports. And metal, mineral and alloys is 3%. Of course, the rest are slightly less. They contribute very nominal. But still, there is that shows that there is a lot of opportunities in the sectors of metals, minerals, alloys, textiles and garments, leather, footwear and sports goods, and you can say gems and jewelry. So I'll go into individual sector one by one. After this is just to give you an idea. Our VSCZ Duvara, that's Visakhapatnam itself has got one SCZ which is owned by the government of India, which has got 63 operational SCZs and provides employment to around 4,000 people here. And here I would like to mention that we have got plenty of space available readily if somebody wants to invest. We have got around 20,000 square meters of built-up space where they can start their operations within 15 days or even 1 month. And you can see that we recorded a growth of 16.7% during this pandemic also. In the complete VSCZ, we have got vacant spaces to the tune of 6,587 hectares, and these opportunities can be utilized. These are some of the built-up spaces available in Visakhapatnam. You can see these are called standard design factory buildings. We have got almost 4 floors vacant here, running to about 20,000 square meters. Plug and play facilities are available here. And in routine, these are all the industrial sheds and what we provide them readily from the government of India at very nominal prices. These are the trading sheds for small investors, SMEs, SMSCs and other things. MSMEs, sorry. And we have got vacant plots where we can develop big units also. And now I'll come to my real topic of strengths, VSCZ presence in these sectors. The first one is apparel. So coming to apparel sector, that is textile and garments. So the total contribution comes to only 1.46% from VSCZ. VSCZ has 1.05 lakh crore export this year. Out of that, it is 1.46%. Of course, last year, the growth was almost 87% in textile and garments. Whereas this year, due to pandemic, a lot of manpower is deployed there. So due to pandemic, the manpower had been curtailed drastically. And that's why we have recorded a negative growth of -8%. But still, its contribution is very, very nominal to the total export. So we didn't have any impact from this thing. And one of the most known SEZ under textile and garment sector is Brandix SEZ, which is located just 20 kilometers from Visakhapatnam. It is set up in 2007 over 386.80 hectare, almost 1,000 acres. It has got 16 units. And again, these exports, almost this year 1,500 crores exports, but again recorded -8%. The reason being it employs manpower to the tune of 21,000. And out of that, 85% are women. And it's the total rural women empowerment. You can see 90% of them are rural women, and provides employment to almost 650 villages adjoining that of Brandix. This is where you can see the Brandix is a Sri Lankan based company, Asia's most competitive manufacturing destination, you can say. You can see it has got all the facilities located in just 1,000 acres closed SEZ. And it starts from yarn, and everything is provided inside the SEZ itself, including fabric drying, thread, apparel, dyeing, printing, packaging, lace making, elastics, labels, logistics, etc. Everything is made in one campus. And there is almost 400 acres of space available for the investors to come and join the apparel sector here, or you can tie up relations with the existing apparel sector for imports to Peru and Bolivia. And they have got global retailers with brand names like Uniqlo, Calvin Klein and everything. You can see H&M. They're all very popular, and these people are supplying from Andhra Pradesh, all these things. Victoria's Secret and everything. And you can see, I told you, it has recorded a negative growth of -8% this year, but all through it has been a great success, except for this pandemic period. And they have got located at Visakhapatnam, very close to the airport, seaport, and all connectivity very easily. And you can see its location in India map on the East Coast. And they have got world-class tenants, which are depicted here, like TJ, Mass, Brandwood, Clover Group, and you can see all the list. I'm not reading out. And BAC, that's called Brandix India Apparel City, enables aggressive startup time, that they provide all the facilities to the investors coming to this SEZ, and they got all world-class plug-and-play infra sufficient for 1,000-acre park is available here, water, ETP, power, and everything. And next, going to the second sector, gems and jewelry, though it contributes only 0.14% of the total exports. We have got last year it was 131 crore, but even during pandemic, we have recorded an export of 147 crore, which is 12.2% growth compared to last year. This is run by the Constel Group. It's known world over, and Constel Group consists of 4 units here. I'm not going to read out everything. What these people are doing is the run-of-mine sorting valuation, jewelry manufacturing, cutting, polishing, polished diamonds recycling, rough diamond valuation, and sleeve sizing, creating sleeves for growing synthetic diamonds. So you can see they generate 1,000 employment to 1,000 people, and they started their operations from this very campus of VSCZ in 1997, and now they have spread into all the globe, like USA, Canada, Namibia, Botswana, South Africa, Russia, and Armenia. You can see that expanded from 1 unit to 4 units in just our campus of VSCZ, spread over 360 acres, and it's carbon neutral. It's known for its carbon neutral operations. They buy carbon credits every year. Next important sector is pharma and biotech, so where the contribution to the total exports come to the extent of 19% during the last year, 2020-21. We got 58 units operating in the pharma sector, like His Excellency Subbarayu Garu said. Andhra Pradesh is the hub of pharma sector here, and we have got under a special economic zone, we have got all the major pharma companies operating, namely Aurobindo, Divi's, Dr. Reddy's, Biocon, GVK, Laurus, Mylan, Sanofi, Metro, Lee Pharma, Gland Pharma, and Cornelius Pharma. And to our pride, this year we have surpassed all the records of the previous year, and pharma sector recorded a growth of 40% and exported to the tune of 20,500 crores this year. And most of the pharma units are located in AP. To the units of 36 units are located in AP. There is still a lot of opportunities for the pharma sector in Andhra Pradesh. We have got Roorkee SEZ is there, which is dedicated for pharma companies, and we have got APIC, APSEZ at Achutapuram. It has got more than 500 acres of space available where this Lipharma is working, and which has recorded astonishing growth this year. And the sector provides employment to 19,000 people. And very to our pride, the Laurus Labs in APSEZ has exported during pandemic about 35 million hydroxychloroquine tablets to all the countries, including USA, Johannesburg, Singapore, Malawi, South Africa, USA, and Belgium. So coming to the third sector, leather and footwear and sports goods sector, it contributes to only 0.72% and achieved exports to the tune of 998 crores during last year. And this has slightly come down during the year 2021 to 766 crore, which is minus 23%. The reason being, all these sectors employ too much of manpower. So with that, more than 10,000 people are employed by the Apache itself, which makes the Adidas brand of shoes. So during pandemic, due to SOPs, the number of people admitted were only less than 50%. So it has also done good this year despite pandemic, and has recorded growth of minus 26%, but exported 752 crores. But the important thing here is it makes 1.53 crore pairs of Adidas every year and employs almost 11,000 people for working on that. It has got plenty of space, 313 acres, and anybody is ready to join these SEZs here. So coming to other one in the apparel, this one sector, leather sector, this Bharatiya International Limited is another largest manufacturer and export of leather apparel. And they have got a network of 10 manufacturing units. And globally, they have got their presence. And they develop every year almost 1,400 styles for over 65 world-renowned brands. You can see this is the presence of Bharatiya International. One such SEZ is present in VSCZ. These are all the clients of Bharatiya International globally. And what are they making in Andhra Pradesh? In a place called Tada in Nellore district. It started its operations in 2012, and you can see that it's making all the kinds of bags, wallets, belts, and delivering to global markets. And you can see these are all formal collections for men they are making, and these are all casual collection for men's and bags. And you can see formal collection belts. And if you look at their performance, to some disappointment, it has come down from last year due to pandemic again. They deploy around 1,000 people. Now they are only deploying around 50%, or even now it is only 200 plus. But globally, they are exporting around 800 crores. So their CAGR globally is 16%. The group's cumulative annual growth is 16%. The last sector I'll be dealing with is metals, minerals, and alloys. And again, it contributes to only 3.48% of the total exports from VSCZ. It achieved, say, growth of 0.90%, and the exports were, but still good, 3,649 crores last year, and this year it is 3,682 crores. These are some of the alloys and minerals working or operating in the APSEZ at Achutapuram. It has got around 1,000 acres in that. Almost 500 acres space is still available for the investors to land up there and start their operations. These are three very important alloy units working there and exporting. You can see the in rupees crores, this one. So, and if I don't talk about ITITS, as told by His Excellency at the beginning, that ITITS is also very important for Peru. I thought I was not asked to talk on it, but still I'll talk, because here it is, its contribution is almost 66% of total exports. It goes to 70,000 crore. This year, we have exported ITITS, IT-enabled services, to the tune of 70,000 56 crores and recorded a growth of 9%, and employment generated is 306,000. Fortunately, they escaped the impact of pandemic for the reason that Government of India has allowed work from home to all the 2.9 lakh people working in these sector, and they are all working non-stop from their homes. And among that, Infosys is one of the biggest celebrity in SEZ in terms of IT, as it has topped all the exports in the last 3 years continuously and employs 26,626 manpower almost. You can see this is one of the beautiful campus of Infosys in Hyderabad. And now I don't go much into this. With this, I say that there are a number of opportunities available under VSCZ, which is one of the most performing SCZs of the country. And I thank His Excellency for giving me this opportunity of introducing our VSCZ to all the distinguished celebrities present here in the virtual meeting to interact with them. Thank you. I'll end my session here. Thank you.
And thank you, Mr. Reddy. It's certainly impressive what we've heard about all these sectors so far. And I have to say, I'm very excited to hear what comes next. Next up, we have an address, a presentation by Mr. Subramaniam Javadi. He is Director of Industries in the government of Andhra Pradesh for ensuring investment promotion in the state through time-bound approvals as the head of the Single Desk Bureau. He's also the CEO of the Andhra Pradesh Economic Development Board, which acts actually as a catalyst to achieve high growth rate and structural shift to industry and service-based economy. So welcome, Mr. Javadi. The floor is yours. Hello, Mr. Javadi, are you with us?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Gabriel. Thanks for the introduction, and good evening to all the distinguished guests present from Peru. His Excellency Subbaraid Garu, Ambassador of India to Republic of Peru and Bolivia, our Ramon Reddy Garu, the VSES Development Commissioner, Mr. Raut from RNL, Mr. Manuel from the Director of Trading Committee at RPN, and Mr. Mohit Rao, the President of INCAM. Thank you very much for giving us this opportunity to present here today, and I promise that I'll stick on to the time that is given to me. In the next 8 to 10 minutes, I'll just present to you the opportunities that are available in AP. So before that, I thank the Ambassador of India to the Republic of Peru for having very strongly elucidated the opportunities that Andhra Pradesh as a state has got to offer, and how both Peru and India and Andhra Pradesh can mutually benefit from a strong partnership and collaboration. So the kind of sectors that we are talking have always been the focus sectors for the state of AP. Even in our new industrial policy, which has been released about a couple of months back, the Industrial Development Policy 2023, and also our export policy. So almost about $14 billion of exports happen from this very state, and this is the state which has been the #1 state on the ease of doing business for almost the last 3 years, and we continue to be so. So I'll just try to share what makes this state the #1 state on the ease of doing business, and what industries and businesses in Peru have got to explore in the state of AP. In a nutshell, I would basically put it in a nutshell kind of a thing, so that it becomes easier for you to appreciate. Now, Mr. Gabriel, did you give me the sharing rights, please? I'm not able to share it. Yeah. Hmm? Is it visible now? Okay, thank you. So
Sorry,
now,
perhaps if you could put it in full screen, it would be better.
sorry. Is this okay, or should I? Okay. 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 Thanks. So my screen visible, and am I sharing my screen? Okay. So thank you. Yeah. So AP, as our His Excellency the Ambassador mentioned, we are a very progressive state on the East Coast with a long coastline, 974 kilometers of coastline. We are the second longest and the longest on the East Coast, with the 6 operational ports and 6 operational airports, out of which 3 are international airports. There's a huge logistics and connectivity which is there. And we are the 8th largest state in the country, with higher and higher than national average per capita income. Now, what makes this state special is that we have got almost 43,000 acres of industrial land, which is available for allotment to any of the industries that are ready to set up shop with plug and play facilities. Some of the plug and play facilities have been shown in the CES, and outside the SEZs also there are plug and play facilities which are available. Now, as we are the #1 state on the ease of doing business, a straight 21 days is the time that is taken for any kinds of approvals that are required. And in case any approvals are not given within this 21 days, it's deemed approved. So the kind of reforms that are there for you to see, be it the electricity connections, the labor inspection reforms, and things like that. But I just take a minute for you to explain that this is the state which has got abundant land, almost 45,000 acres of industrial land ready to be allotted. This is a state which is power surplus, 21 gigawatts of power capacity, power generation is happening as on today. And more than 1,000 MLD of industrial water available. We are a blessed state with the Krishna Godavari river basins, and 10% of the water in these reservoirs and canals are basically allotted for the industries. On the top of it, we are heavily invested into skill development. 30 skill development colleges which will provide industry relevant skilling for the industries are set up, and almost 200,000 engineers and technical manpower comes out of our engineering colleges and polytechnics every year. So which means there is huge land, abundant water, and reliable power, and abundant manpower, including technical manpower, for the industries and the industrialists to explore. This is what I was telling. After Rajasthan, Andhra Pradesh is the state which receives the most number of sunny days, 300 sunny days out of 365 days, with a solar installation of more than 5 kilowatt hours per meter square per day. So this is one of the largest, one of the highest in the country. So that's why we have huge solar parks and renewable energy export policy, wherein we have policies to export renewable energy through these huge solar parks also. Now, on the logistics and Mr. Gabriel, is my screen visible? Is my PPT visible? Mr. Gabriel?
Subramaniam Garu,
PPT
it's not visible actually.
PPT is not visible. You have to just display the PPT first and then share the screen. Mr. Subramaniam, you have to just open up the PPT.
It is open. The PPT is open on my screen. Okay.
Yeah, whilst you're presenting, you have to look the presentation.
Now it's fine. Now it's fine. Okay. So, so I will not go back to whatever was not shown, except just the place where AP stands on the East Coast. On the logistics and connectivity side, we've got 6 operational ports and 3 more ports are being built, and we have got deep draft ports. Almost 18 meters to 20 meter draft ports are available. Visakhapatnam handles almost 120 metric tons of cargo every year. And we are the second largest, we are the state with the second largest cargo handling capacity again after Gujarat. So for any kinds of exports and imports and export oriented units, this is a state. And this is a state which has got 3 industrial corridors. Probably we are the only state which have got 3 industrial corridors. The Visakhapatnam-Chennai corridor, the Chennai-Bangalore corridor, and the Hyderabad-Bangalore corridor. What it basically means is that we have these industrial nodes with ready-built factories come up in these industrial nodes. So the huge infrastructure in terms of road connectivity, rail connectivity, industrial nodes, CETPs are in the process of development in these industrial corridors. So I just tried to make a comparison between what are the competitive factors, how operational costs of the Andhra Pradesh minimizes the cost of not only the ease of doing business but the cost of doing business. So here, when you compare the skilled wage rate or the average land cost or the power tariff or the water supply cost, we are anywhere between 30 to 70% lesser than the adjoining neighboring states or the competing states. So that's where you get cheap labor available. At the same time, we will also be in a position to give you water, power, and land at a very competitive price, which is definitely 30 to 40% lesser than anywhere else in the country. Now, our policy, we have one of the best-in-class industrial policy. Our policy provides incentives on the basis of employments. So anyone providing more than 2,000 employment would get 100% SGST, GST reimbursement. All taxes, whatever are paid in the form of GST, are reimbursed. At the same time, wherever investments are to the scale of micro, small, and medium, which is like less than 50 crore investments also. So their investments get a reimbursement of stamp duty, power reimbursement of almost 1 rupee per unit, and investment or capital subsidy of 15%. And any interest taken is also the interest rate, 3% of the interest taken is also subsidized and reimbursed. And on the land conversion charges also there are reimbursements. So nonetheless, after all this, if any of the units like the textiles, which generally have a huge employment potential, employ more than 2,000 people, there are tailor-made policies, tailor-made incentive policies which are there. Now, quickly on the focus sectors that are there, steel, we have a steel capacity of 9.2 million metric tons per annum, including, of course, RINL Vizag Steel. In addition to the Vizag Steel, we also have the AP high-grade steel, and Garuda Steel, which is into specialty steel. So there are a whole lot of steel ecosystem developed in the state. The reason for that is we have a whole lot of mineral base, be it iron ore, barytes. We are the largest in the country, limestone deposits, graphite, copper, calcite, and very high quality silica. I would say that the silica, the silica sand, which is available in AP, is the highest quality, and which has drawn the glass manufacturers, float glass manufacturers into this very state. Now, this is the YSR Steel, the high-grade steel manufacturing plant that I have mentioned. We are looking for partners who can partner with us in this, because the government has invested 3,000 crores of rupees into this plant, and the total cost is 17,000 crores, and the time period for completion is just 2 years, 2.5 to 3 years time. So it's an integrated steel plant which has got a hot metal production and coils and plate milling. We have a huge pharma ecosystem. His Excellency was mentioning about the pharma. I would say that we have got almost 250 plus APIs and bulk drug units, most of them WHO approved or US FDA approved. 16% of the total India's production of drugs are produced in this very state. And this is a sector which provides close to 90,000 employment. And we have recently constituted the AP Bulk Drug Industrial Corporation, which means that this corporation has got land, and this corporation actively promotes bulk drug manufacturers with the special incentives. And we've also taken CSIR as a knowledge partner. So the bulk drug and the pharma industry is again spread across the state, right from north to south. The one in Visakhapatnam is one of the largest, JNPC and Paidi Bhimavaram, but nonetheless, it is spread across many places. And in fact, 9,300 acres of Kurnool has been identified also for mainly for promoting of the pharma ecosystem. So we believe in huge scale. So that is the reason why we have got these lands of almost 10,000 acres, 7,000 acres at one place, so that these units become tenable from a scale point of view. So again, as the ambassador was mentioning, we have India's first integrated medical devices park. We provided the ventilators and the PP kits from this very center to almost across the country and to some of the other countries on the globe. So this has got 85 companies with 18 testing facilities. So there is a gamma irradiation facility, semiconductor magnetic coil research and production facility. So you have 18 testing facilities. The people who are manufacturing here can have the testing facilities also availed as a common facility, and you would be in a position to utilize these. Another 270 acres of AP MedTech zone is available currently. Now on the textiles and apparel side, we've got almost 3.6 million spindles rotate in the state every day, and 7% of the total India spinning capacity is available in this state. Almost we are one of the largest producer of cotton. After the bifurcation of the state into Telangana and AP, some of the cotton growing areas have remained with Telangana, but nonetheless, the prowess on spinning and textiles remains with Andhra Pradesh. And we have a progressive policy of 1823, textiles policy 1823, in which there is a huge potential for garmenting and weaving activities along with technical textiles. We have got these textile parks which are available across the length and breadth. Leather ecosystem, we have the Krishnapatnam leather, and AP accounts for almost 10% of the country's raw hide processing capabilities, and almost most of this is located on the coastline, so that the pollution aspect of it, the marine discharge aspect of it is also taken care of. We've got almost 56 leather and footwear companies. Apache is one such footwear company which has started their operations way back in the year 2008, and they've expanded now with another unit with another SEZ in a place called Inagalur with almost 10,000 employment. So these are some of the key players on textiles. Toray from Japan, Unicham, again US-based TJ, Kalam Spinning. So all these, some of the Korean, Chinese, and Taiwan companies are operating in various places in the state. So now we have a dedicated export policy, export promotion cells at the district level, and we have a focus on promoting exports and also a huge sourcing. So in case any of the Peru companies want to have joint venture with the companies existing in AP, we would be in a position to do that. Just to brief you, the AP Economic Development Board is a single point interface for all investment and sourcing opportunities in the state. So you have a single point interface, and I am the CEO of this AP Economic Development Board and also the Director of Industries. So for any kind of need, I am only just a mail away, and we would be 100% supportive of your cause. So thank you very much for a patient hearing. Thank you, Mr. Gabriel.
Sure, Javadi. Next up, we have a presentation by Mr. B. Rout, who is working as General Manager for Marketing in charge of the International Trade Division of RINL ever since 2004. RINL Visage Seal is known for its quality products catering to diverse industrial sectors. He's been working with them since 1997 and has vast experience in the steel sector. So welcome, Mr. Rout. You have the floor. Are you with us, Mr. Rout?
Yeah, I'm there with you.
Brilliant.
Thank you, Mr. Gabriel. Share our screen. Hello. Share. Yeah. I'm not able to share the document. Yeah. It's not working. Share. I think first you click this one, then share. Yeah. Okay. First thing is share. Not enabled. No, it is not enabled, I think. Just can you check it at your end? I just clicked the third button, share button. Mr. Gabriel? It is not asking. It's not asking anything. Not enabled. It is not enabled.
Share and cancel are there, but cancel.
Bottom it is showing share button and then cancel button. The cancel is active, but share button is not. It is dim and okay. Okay. Is it visible now? Is it visible now?
No.
Is it visible now, sir?
It's not.
Is it visible? Is this screen visible? Oh.
No, it's not.
Yeah. Yes. Thank you, Mr. Gabriel, and His Excellency Subaraidu Garu, Ambassador, Embassy of India, Peru and Bolivia. Mr. Ram Mohan Reddy Garu, Zonal Development Commissioner, Visakhapatnam Special Economic Zone, and Mr. JVN Subramaniam Garu, Director of Industries and Chief Executive Officer, Andhra Pradesh Economic Development Board, Mr. Rohit Rai Garu, and Mr. Origi. So, and the delegates available. This is my presentation from RINL, Vizag Steel. So, RINL is a Rashtriya Ispat Limited. It's a 6.5 million ton plant, and we have only one steel plant under this.
Click.
So this is a 6.5 million ton plant. Earlier it was 3.4. We have expanded, and recently we have completed 1 year back. We have completed all expansion units. So now it is running under full capacity. And this year, the concluding year, our sales was around 17,000 crores, and value-wise, and volume-wise, it was 4.55 million ton. And you will appreciate that Vizag Steel, it has got a name here, and the quality, because of its quality, and all our products are long products. So mainly we are producing rebars, rounds, wire coil, and substructurals, channel angle beam and all. We have around 15,000, 60,000 employees here, and it's a beautiful plant. You'll appreciate it. It is covered the total greenery. We used to get every year green award. We are getting actually because a lot of greenery we have developed. Initially, we planned for planting 3.4 million trees because our capacity was 3.4 million ton. So now this is it is itself a jungle. Actually, you'll be surprised to know that if you come over here, you'll say whether it's a steel plant is there inside a jungle or a jungle is there inside a steel plant. So it is that beautiful, and it is as my earlier speakers they have told that it is it's a beautiful shoreline, and tourist places are nearby. So nearby our plant there are two ports. One is Vizag Port, Visakhapatnam Port, and very close to our plant there is one more port, Gangavaram Port. So these are the two ports, and this is the gateway for trade, whatever we are exporting outside, and then incoming material also it is coming. So it's we are importing coal from Australia mainly, and recently we have started importing from Malaysia and other countries. Limestone we are getting from Dubai, and mostly iron ore is nearby only, nearby state we are getting it. And because of the quality of the raw materials, that is it is giving a beautiful, it has got a beautiful image inside India and outside India. People used to appreciate. So So this is my the brief introduction about the plant, and I'll go to the other slides. As you can see here, actually my brand is called Vizag Steel, and this is all ISO certificates we have got. All ISO 9000 certificates, 14001, 27001, OSAS standards, all those standard certificates we have got to our credit. And we have only one steel plant, but other units also we have. Recently, we have one forge roll plant set up in Raebareli, that is in the state of UP. And we have this thing. We are also promoters of International Coal Ventures Limited, which has been operating coal mine in Mozambique. So coming to our products, this is our first product, wire rod coils. This is produced through Stelmar process, as you might be aware. So all our products are from virgin steel. You don't have like a virgin steel means it's coming directly from the raw materials. We don't use any scrap, using the scrap outside and all. So it's coming from iron ore raw material and all. So the such is called virgin steel. Our first product is a reinforcing bar, that is called TMT rebar. And we produce TMT rebar of Fe500 grade, Fe500D, Fe550, 550D. And also higher quality corrosion resistant steel also we produce, HSCRMD. And wire rod also, wire rod and rounds. Structurals in the form of angle, channel, beam, all those light and medium merchant structurals also we produce. Blooms of size 320 by 250. Then 250 by 250, 200 by 200, 150 by 150, all those things. Our what we are exporting now, mostly it is 150 by 150 bloom, and for length, 12-meter length. That is our main product, and we export various grades like 3SP and 4SP grade. And mostly to the countries outside, it is going to Southeast Asia and Nepal, nearby countries, Sri Lanka, and faraway countries like UAE, China, and Africa also. A lot of material is going. Then coming to billets, 125 billet, 77 billet, 90 billet, 125 billet. All those billets also we export of various grades. You can see the grades here. So then cast rounds, recently we have started cast rounds from our new unit. That is for size 380, 410, 430, 450. All those sizes can be produced. These are our wire rod grades. First, this is mild steel we produce of 1008, 100, 1010, 1012 and all. In addition to that, we produce some high quality special steels also. High carbon steels in the range of C52 to 82. And some high tensile fasteners uses 35C8, EN8D, CK45, all those. Mostly this high carbon uses are for needlewear, brushwear, agriculture wear, umbrella reefs, piano wear, chain rivet wear, ACSR core wear, tire bit and all. Then we produce this PC grade also, pre-stressed concrete grade wire rod coil. The sizes are around 7, 8 like that. These are the sizes of rebars actually, TMT rebar. TMT rebar sizes are from 8 to 36 mm. Sectional weights, as you can see, it ranges from 0.395 to 7.99 kg per meter. And The various grades also mentioned, 500, 500D. These are my rounds actually. So we are famous for rounds. We have a sort of monopoly in the market. This much range no other steel plant produces. Our range starts from 16 mm to 90 mm rounds. All those rounds, so you can see the various uses here. All rounds, so it can be used as bright bars, fastener industry or knot bolt industry. Quite a good amount of this thing. Special steel rounds are used in automobile forging. All those grades. Then these are the structurals, angles, channels, slats, and beams of various sizes. Coming to the applications, which will be more useful to know for the people in Peru to import the material, particularly wire rod coils. Wire rod coil also, our wire rod coil goes to far off places like USA. We have got a lot of quantity to USA. Earlier it has gone, and it is now it is going to Southeast Asian countries like Philippines, Thailand, all, and so it is a very good quality wire rod coil. So generally this 1008 1010 is used in general engineering industry for drawing and all. 1010W it is used for steel wool. 1015 is a cold headed quality fasteners, and 1018 also it can be used for forging and for cold headed fasteners also. This electrode quality and cable armor quality also we produce. This thing also high demand here. Recently also we are producing this boron grade, say 10B21M and 15B25M, which are also used and for fasteners, studs, nuts, bolts, and screws. Also recently we are producing this CO2 grade, and this ENAD, CK45, all those are used in cycle, the spokes, umbrella wires, earthing wires. High manganese wire rod coil also used for nuts and bolts, fasteners. And high carbon is used for cycle spokes, umbrella wires. As I told, the pre-stressed concrete, electric pole wires, tire bed wires, vibrating screens, all those. These are the rounds and billets of quality, various grades. The same 1008 to 1012. Mainly the one is low carbon, medium carbon, which is used for general engineering industry forging. And then 1012S, 1015S, 25S is wheel drains. And medium carbon, it is used mostly goes to general engineering and automobile industry. And this C18HMN grade, actually, carbon 18, high manganese, it is used in TLT segment, transmission line towers. And other grade, this 37C15 grade, which is used for forging axles, shafts, and link chains. Chrome steel also for 40 CR4, 41 CR4, 20 mm CR5, 16 mm CR5. This is used in gears, grounds, and pinion wheels for auto sector. Spring steel for 55 SI7, 60 SI7, both the thing it is used for railway clips, lip springs, all this, and chrome steel with boron also. As SOP 9, SOP 10, and SOP 11 is also used for lip spring of automobiles. So these are the high-end products of wire rod coils what we produced, as I told you. This is a 5.5 to 16 mm. These are the sizes. And then quality and grade is a high manganese. and high carbon, and CHQ, high manganese. Finished products are wires, springs, and electrodes. Application in a auto sector, tire reinforcement, valve strings, screws, bolts, nuts, fasteners, and components. Couplings, automotive, automatic welding electrodes. These are also rounds, 16 to 36 mm. So all three varieties, medium carbon, high manganese, chromium steels, and used for mostly transmission plant like valves, hubs, levers, shafts, gears, screws, bolts, nuts, and all. And for components, assemblies, and couplings, higher size 40 to 90 mm rounds are also the same bright bar is used for wise bar, fasteners, roll flats, mostly in auto sector. All this lip springs, bolts, and all, rims, shafts, and all. We also produce pig iron, which is a 2-notch pig iron, and its PCC almost 45 kg in weight. And every year almost we are exporting around 25 to 50,000 tons. Mostly it goes to USA and this Southeast Asian countries. So I'll tell you about the exports, the opportunity for importing to Peru. So a lot of materials we have, mostly if anybody is interested in setting up a rolling mill, and we are ready to supply the materials with 3SP, 4SP material. This can be rolled into structurals and rebars for uses. And mostly this concluding here, we have exported around 1.3 million ton of steel, mostly the same Southeast Asian countries nearby Nepal, Sri Lanka, and all. And the value wise, it is 4,000 crores, and it is almost our 35 to 40% of our total sales is from exports. This is a concluding year because of the pandemic, when domestic market was almost down, so we could do good amount of exports. That is how we survived. So now our plant is running with a full capacity, and with a lot of other products also we are trying. If I would like to request the delegates in Peru, if anybody would like to export, we will be glad to have some business relationship with them. I would be more pleased to export wire rod coil, billets, and our other products, Henry bars also. So these are this thing. So as my earlier predecessors, they have told, so it's a beautiful city, Vizag city, with a lot of and this thing is nearby sea and all, scenic beauty. So I would like to request the delegates, if anybody is coming to this side of India, just make a visit to Vizag. You will definitely love it. So with this, I conclude my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for that very insightful presentation. We have one last panelist today, which I'm very happy to present. He's director of the trading committee at RPN Peru, Mr. Manuel Origi. Welcome.
Thank you very much, Gabriel. Good day, Excellency. Good day, ladies and gentlemen. Can you see my presentation now?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Still not? It's stuck. I don't know why. No. There's a problem again with this. I'm clicking on sharing the screen, but no, it's not allowed. No, it doesn't turn to green. Can you see it now? Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Good day again, Excellency, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Manuel Origi. I am CEO of Saimar Group. We have more than 20 years in the market dealing with raw materials for different industries. And I am also director of RIN, Red Internacional de Negocios, which is an international network for promoting and getting opportunities on business related to investments and also trading of products, especially commodities. I want to start the presentation. I will talk about mainly about the markets of steel, textiles, and leather. So let me start with some numbers. Okay, sorry. Okay, I want to share with you some numbers. And first of all, I want to point out what most of the investors are saying about Peru, which is Peru remains as one of the most stable and promising economies in the region. So talking about numbers, as you can see, the population in Peru is more than 32 million people. The income per capita is almost $7,000, which means there is a lot of room to grow in our country. GDP is $222 billion. The inflation rate, as you see, is around 2%, which is very normal, very regulated, which gives a good opportunity and a healthy economy. The foreign debt, $65 billion. The total land area, as you can see, is 1.2 million of square kilometers, which is a good size for the region where we live, of course, except Brazil. But that means there is very good opportunities on different business, especially with the natural resources that we count with. The national budget, as you can see, is $52 billion. These numbers are mainly until 2020, last year, so including the pandemic. Now I want to start talking or start speaking about the markets, starting with the steel market. The Peruvian steel market is composed by two main producers of steel. The first one, which is the biggest one, is totally Peruvian capitals, and they are mainly producing long steel. And the second one belongs to Gerdau Group. For the rest of the importers of steel, mainly they are steel transformers and big distributors. And there is something I want to point out here, that is that in our market, we have a few very big distributors that can move, you know, the nail in the market. and a lot of small transformers too. So the big distributors are also a very important clue on the market. The main import products are billets and bars, which are mainly imported by the two producers that we have in Peru, and also wire rod, SAE 1006 and 1008, mainly for construction, wires, nails, nets, and others, and also wire rod 1045 and 1065, mainly for mattress springs. We have 5 main mattress producers, so there is a market also here on 1045 and 1065. Other products that we import are more like flat CRC, HRC, then tubes, beams, profiles, angles, galvanized, pre-painted, and others. That's the main products that we are importing. As we produce more basic products, more than high-tech. 70% of the total consumption correspond to long steel products, and I am talking about more than 2 million metric tons per year, being the local producers, the suppliers of the 60% of it. Our local producers, they mainly buy billets and they produce long steel products. And as I mentioned, 60% of that consumptions are made by our local producers, while the flat products are mainly imported. So 90% of the total of the flat products are being imported and only 10% are produced locally. The main markets for the steel in Peru are the construction, which is 51%, the mining industry, 28%, and then the industrial and metal mechanics, which represents 21%. Also, we can mention that the main suppliers of steel billets and bars come from CIS, Brazil, and Turkey. And for the other steel products, the main origins are China, following by Brazil, which is the biggest producer of steel in Latin America, Korea, and others. While the main producers of steel in the world, as you well know, is China, with more than 50% of the market share, Japan, and India. And I am mentioning this because I want to point out that India is a very, very big player in the market, in the world. However, our imports are still very, very few from India. So what I am trying to say is that there is a very big opportunity of start promoting the Indian products, the Indian steel into Peru. I think maybe the weakest point, just to say, maybe it could be the transit time. But there is a way that we can work, because we're already importing from Turkey, which takes like 45 days also to reach Peru. So there is a very big room here that we can explore with India. There is also an opportunity for importing steel scrap from overseas. That's another point that we have to check, because there is an opportunity. And at the last, I want to mention also that as Peru is a big producer of metals and minerals, it is also important to consider importing iron, zinc, and other metals from Peru to be used in the production of steel worldwide. So it's important to also look about it, because you can also import, let's say, iron ore from Peru, or zinc, or other metals, and also at the same time export to Peru the steel. The next market I want to talk or to speak is the textiles. First, I want to mention that Peru is a main producer of high and top quality cotton, being the Peruvian Pima cotton recognized as the finest cotton in the world, as their main characteristics are the softness, the long fiber, and high resistance. And due to the recognition of the Peruvian cotton, the country exports cotton, clothes, and pieces to the most well-known brands over the world. So together with metals and mine industry in Peru, the textile industry is also in the top 3 main industries in Peru, mainly for the cotton industry. However, we are also big importers of synthetic textiles, which also gives a good opportunity. In the case of imports, Peru buys cotton final clothes and fabrics from India, Brazil, China, Pakistan, and Bangladesh, even when the import taxes reach 11%. And the issue here is that our cotton, even we produce in large quantities, is very expensive. So for the local consumption, we import a lot of products made of cotton from overseas. But for exporting the brands, international brands, we use our Pima cotton mainly. In case of synthetic raw materials, the main imported items are polyester staple fiber in different sizes, being the tendency to use thinner titles. So the staple fiber we are mainly importing from China, followed by Korea. Also, another kind of synthetic raw materials are yarns, of course, that we are also importing China, Korea, and other sources too. But there is also a good opportunity here. But we have here we compete with China, especially on prices, of course. Peru also imports synthetic final products like clothes and pieces and fabrics from China, India, Turkey, and others, especially because of the prices. But there are also opportunity on other synthetics that we can also explore, I think. Also, another point that it is important to consider, because India is also a producer of chemicals, is that for the production of textiles, also Peru imports dyes and chemicals for the textile industry. Different kind of chemicals like, I don't know, hydroxyl peroxide and others, besides, of course, dyes. And I know that India is very strong on dyes and pigments and like that. So it's also important to consider. And the third industry I want to speak about is the leather market. Peruvian imports of leather before the pandemic was in the range of $150 million, being the main origins China, Vietnam, India, Colombia, and Argentina. In the case of Colombia and Argentina are mainly related to natural leather, while China, Vietnam, and India mainly synthetic leather, which is the biggest industry, of course, on leather in Peru. The main imports, as I mentioned, are for synthetic leather, and the import tax for that is 11%. In the case of shoes, leather, industrial, and textile, Peru is the 5th producer in Latin America, but showing a decreasement year over year, being the imports of shoes 20 times bigger than the exports. Because we also have some leather we use for the shoes, and we export mainly leather, natural leather shoes. But for the imports, we import different kind of, not just natural, but mainly synthetic leather. The main imports of shoes in order come from China, Vietnam, Indonesia, Brazil, and India. And I want to share with you this graphic, which is showing in the left side the imports of leather, different kind of leathers, not just natural, of course, but synthetic. And as you can see, in the last 10 years, considering up to 2018, the imports of leather have been increasing continuously, reaching in 2018 almost $150 million, and also was increased in 2019, and then the pandemic came. But on the left side and the right side, you can see the exports of leather. This is only for natural leather that has been decreasing year by year, which means that the consumption, mainly in our region, for synthetic leather is still growing and growing. So I think there is a very important opportunity there for the leather market or the leather industry. To finalize, I want also to mention and to point out this is that Peru is a very interesting country with lots of opportunities due to their nature, location, which is in the main West Coast hub in South America, natural resources, as I mentioned, the metals that could be for steel, for example, and also the textiles, and competitive international tax rules. And I want to mention here that even Peru has a lot of FTA, free trade agreements with different countries. We also have an interesting customs rules, mainly for most of the raw materials that we don't produce here. And in the business that I have talked before, let's say about steel, that they are exempted of import taxes from any origin. So besides this, we have a lot of raw materials that they don't pay any import tax from any origin, which makes much more competitive, but also very available for most of the producers in the world. Okay. I want to thank you for your attention and hope to see you soon.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for that wonderful presentation. We're going to be wrapping up this very interesting, very insightful event where we've seen lots of opportunities for business between Andhra Pradesh and Peru. And to finish up, we have some closing remarks from Mr. Rohit Rao, President of INCHAM, the Indian Chamber of Commerce in Peru. So you have the floor, Rohit. Please go ahead.
Thank you very much, Gabriel. Thank you, sir. Thank you, our great ambassador, Mr. Subramaniam. Thank you very much, Mr. Reddy. Quite interesting your presentation, and quite happy to see how WISAC can really have so many interesting things for us here in Peru. And Mr. Subramaniam, thank you very much for giving a very clear idea how Andhra Pradesh can be a hub for manufacturing for a lot of people here in Latin America as well as in Peru. And I'm very happy to know that you're open for a lot of joint ventures with Peruvian companies. I think that is going to be the key. As INCHAM, we're definitely going to push in all these things with our local companies, also with other Latin American partners, where they can understand today Andhra Pradesh is the happening place, you know? And where things can happen very fast and incredibly, how soon it can work out for everybody here. And Mr. Raut, nothing much to add. Quite impressive, the company you are in, and huge opportunities here in Peru, as Manuel said. And there are a lot of things that can be done here on many sectors, especially in your steel, in construction. So very soon, after the new government going to come in, there's going to be a lot of construction work on the way for low housing, for hospitals, for schools, etc., etc. So the market is huge, market is big. We as INCHAM definitely going to play an important role to inform everybody, all of us, what is happening. And then in our next e-magazine, we're going to concentrate more on, especially on the joint ventures, on the steel, on the pharma. Of course, pharma has always been a very important thing for years in Peru. Nothing much more to add. And thank you very much for a fantastic webinar. And thank you very much, Mr. Tandon, for all your help. Very sad to know that he's leaving us here in Peru, is going to another place, but very happy what he's going to be in another countries. So nothing much to add. Very soon we'll be in touch with everybody. And anything else you need from us as INCHAM, we are here to be of your assistance on any sectors. And anything that you need, please be in touch with us. As you say in India, namaste and buenos dias in Peru. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. That is all for today. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, His Excellency.
Thank you so much. Thank you.